Okay, so what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to talk about corporate governance and the criticality of corporate governance and leadership to driving strategic planning, the strategic planning process, and the strategic management process. So with that, what I want to talk about here is this. I think many individuals think of corporate governance, they always think about the CEO. That's what I hear all the time, the CEO. Occasionally you'll hear about the CFO or the Chief Operating Officer, but typically people fall back on the CEO. I want to go beyond that, and this is something that's been left out for many, many years, is the fact that corporate governance starts well above that, at the board level. And for many, many years, people have left the board out of the equation, and I'm not so sure how that shakes out. But some boards may like being left out of the equation. Because if you're a board member and something goes bad in a company, if you're not an integral part of the decision-making process for that company, what can you then say? I didn't know. I didn't know. I come to the monthly board meetings. We sit in for 2 or 3 hours. We make general policy decisions. We make some hiring decisions. We may approve a budget, whatever the case might be. But I had no idea that this was going on operationally.
Isn't that called an inactive board?
It's an inactive board, and what it gives you is, well, some people call them ghost boards, inactive board, but what it gives you is plausible deniability. Kind of like the President of the United States. I didn't know. An example for plausible deniability, or just one little example, is during World War II, the President of the United States was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And you know the Manhattan Project was the development of the atomic bomb. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President Roosevelt, died in office, the Vice President obviously took over, was bumped up to President, right, per our Constitution. The Vice President, Truman, didn't even know the Manhattan Project existed. He didn't even know that we were developing an atomic bomb. So top advisors from the Pentagon and other places had to sit down with the Vice President, who is now the President, and tell him about this massive project that's going on. And ultimately, he had to make the final decision on whether or not we use it, and he did make the decision to use it twice in Japan. So there's an example where sometimes people are kept in the dark intentionally for a variety of reasons. It can be intentional plausible deniability. It could be politically motivated. It could be the person's viewed as a possible threat. It could be any number of things. So, in a nutshell, what I want to explain to you is this, is many CEOs today are trying to re-involve and re-energize and re-engage their boards, because that way everybody's on the same page. Because guys, if you remember, we've talked about organizations have a mission, and then there's a vision, and then we kick right into with the goals, and right